Hello, good evening. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Kwabena. Welcome. I want to share with you tonight briefly financial decisions. Financial decisions, not being broke all the time. Financial decisions, not being broke all the time. One of the most difficult things for anybody who who has been pushed into adulthood and is trying to live life alone is that you will come to a stage that you will know that finance or money plays a huge role uh, in terms of trying to do life, trying to live, and the decisions and the choices that we all make with our finances, with the money, will have a long way to go in terms of the quality of life. I think that we all live. Unfortunately, the kind of environment that we all grew up in, the kind of family, the kind of a school we grew up in, the kind of culture we grew up we grew up in, the kind of religious setting that we grew up in, they have a serious effect on how we make financial decisions and choices, and how they eventually affect even our morality, even our character. There's one thing when somebody does not have anything to eat and they try to find a living to take care of the family. And there's another thing that somebody has something to eat. Finance has a major part to play. I think that most parents would want the reason most parents will send their children to school is what is for them to find a better life, become somebody in society. And when they say that, I don't think there is any parent who expect their children to become any prominent citizen in society without thinking of the finances. If nobody is expecting their children to become poor. I don't think my father ever expected me that I will be poor, even though he may not have given me a lot of tools, a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill in terms of finances. And so you see that a whole generation hopes that things will get better financially, but largely very ill equipped in terms of the understanding as to what it really takes to overcome being broke all your life. And if you dare to start a company, if you dare to become an entrepreneur, being broke is largely part of the game for a very long time. And so, how do you try to position yourself, at least? Because I think it's the duty of every human being to at least overcome poverty, even if they are not rich, even if they are not, if they don't become so much rich or don't become so much wealthy. At least the basic things of life. I think every man, every woman, every family should be able to overcome that. And I think there is much abundance on this earth for every human being to have something to live with. But the poverty is so high because of the information that we've been given, because of the culture, because of the decisions, because of the choices that we all make. And so financial knowledge is very much important if you want to overcome being broke all the time. When you were growing up, you wait for your parents to help you to pay school fees. At least sometimes even housekeeping money. You wait for your mother or your father or whoever was taking care of you to send you money. In our country, we wait, especially those who went to school, we wait so much. Some people, by the time that they are 13, 14, they start to work. Here, a lot of people in the university don't do anything for income. They don't work. They just go to school and wait for their parents to take care of them. Or sometimes they go for sneaking loan, and that's all. And so, financial knowledge, because one of the things that I think you can easily get the awareness that finance plays a major role is when you start to work that fast. When you start to work early, you become a bit more responsible. Even if it's salary that you're receiving, if it's income that no matter how much little you receive it, if you start to work early, you start to see that you have to take care of that which you've been paid. When you're spending the money that you didn't work for, I think the knowledge that comes with finance is a bit slow and a bit no. We don't take the money that somebody gave us freely that much seriously. I think that the moment you started to work and somebody, when the pay came and you saw how much I mean, the time you got up, the time you went home, you got to the work, you came home, all the hustling that you did, and then they paid you that much little money, you were not happy because you thought that you worked. That money they paid you, usually, most people who are a bit responsible with their lives will start to think. But if you're 30, if you're 25, if you're 40, and you have never worked and be paid, you think that it's that easy. That's why when they give free money, people who depend on free handouts don't become that much responsible financially that early. Anybody who is an adult, and somebody is taking care of them, the financial knowledge is that slow. The people who start to take care of themselves that early in life, maybe you lost your parents, or maybe conditions of life, your parents were not there, or they didn't have much, and you have to go out, work, push, and put yourself in school. Those people, you see that the rate at which that they gather financial knowledge is that fast. Why? Because the moment you start to work for something that they are paid you, whether it's a business, whether it's employment, you start to get financial knowledge as to how to at least take care of the money, the little that has come to you. So financial knowledge, you must go for it. If you cannot make good financial decisions until you have proper financial knowledge. And I don't know how many people really start to think like that if I'm poor, if I don't have much, if what is coming in is not that much, maybe I don't know much. When somebody wants to go to learn how to drive, they are taught. When somebody wants to go how to become a carpenter, they are taught. When somebody has to go, you have to go and become anything in this life, you're taught. But then the money, nobody teaches nobody. And then they expect us to get it. And I think that's why majority of the world's population struggle with money all our lives, because the teaching of it is that much inadequate. And so get financial knowledge. I think that the earlier you start to read about it, the better. The earlier you start intentionally to read about finances, the better for you. Don't believe that thing that when we were growing up, they told us, a lot of the religious knowledge that they gave us. And sometimes it appears that some people are born to be rich and some other people are born to suffer. I don't think it's that much true entirely, if there is any truth in it at all. I think that the more you know, the better you are in a position to get some kind of results. And so if you came from a background that nobody taught you anything about money, don't trust your instincts so much. And if you started to work so early in your life, if you started to work when you were 25, your financial knowledge will not be that good. If you start, no matter the work, whether it's a lawyer, doctor, engineer, carpenter, mason, tailor, whatever it is, politician, preacher, it doesn't matter. If you started to work very late, and if you are being taken care of by your parents and your people who are just sending you money like that, sometimes you take a lot of things for granted. So the earlier you start to work, the better. And if you are an adult, then you have to just say that, listen, I have to go and get some kind of knowledge in terms of finances, or you're going to struggle all your life. And I think one of the major reasons why we seem to have a lot of people doing all kind of things to get money in our country. For instance, any scam, any pyramid scheme, anything that they call investment. You see a lot of people get money somewhere. I don't know how they get the money, but they seem to get money and go and give it to a lot of these guys. and they promise us so much. They will give us 5%, 20%, 30%, and we don't even know what they are using the money for. It's not so much that, even though it's greed, I think the bottom line of the greed is how much people know in terms of money, in terms of finances. Because if you can do a lot of breakdowns, you know that if anybody can give you 10%, that person is a magician. Because for you to work from January to December and somebody promises you 120%, how much is he going to pay his workers? How much is he going to use to buy fuel, car, move around? And how much is he making for him to pay you 120% and still go to pay the taxes and everything that the country requires of any business to pay? And so, but if your financial knowledge is weak, when they say anything you think is true, you just believe it because it is just weak. You don't have a lot of breakdowns. And I think that the more people are naive, the more people don't know much about finances, the easier for us to be scammed, and it's so easy for us to be just talked into anything and we part away with our money. It takes a lot of effort for anybody to do business and make even 20% a year. So if somebody is trying to promise you 120%, 150% a year, that person obviously has some kind of agenda, and that you should know. But if you don't know much, if you're not reading much about it, if you don't study, I don't know how many people have read any books on finance. Most people don't read anything. All that we know is that we get up, we go to work, we come back at the end of the month, they pay us. And then we expect that we'll be able to overcome being broke. Most people are broke all their lives. They are always on red because the salary is not enough. Let's face it, in our country, the average monthly salary is what? I don't know, maybe 1,000 or less. So if people are genuinely living on their salary, yes, of course, people have other things that they do. But if, let's say we assume that people just live on one job, which seems like that, you cannot overcome poverty. You cannot overcome being broke by being paid that, especially if you have a family. So there is some kind of knowledge, there's some kind of financial skills that are required for any one of us to overcome the constant, perpetual, lack of cash in the family, in our pocket, everywhere. So you have to at least take it upon yourself to get some kind of knowledge, understanding what is money. Not the one that they gave, the definition they gave you that you went to write exams with. I'm talking of the one that we can live with. At least, if nothing at all, we should be able to solve the acute lack of money problems that when we were growing up, when we were in secondary school and some places like that, you were waiting for the school fees. And if it didn't come, there was trouble. You were waiting for money to be sent to you so that you could buy food. That kind of level of acute shortage should not be part of an adult life. Yet, many people are in that kind of condition, largely because our understanding of finance is that weak. And most people don't even think that it's important for us to even learn it. I think that for most of us, we leave the finances in the hands of God and in the hands of prophet. If you go to most of these places that they are praying for people, why do you think people are looking for visas to go to America? It's just because they think that they will get a better life there. And better life, likely to most people, is what? It's money. If they had money, most people maybe will live here. So they are praying for better job. Why? Because it's money. They want money. They are praying for what? Some rich man to just remember their name and send them money. Those things, I think, just like Lotto, you cannot win life thinking like that. I think the ones that have been able to make some sensible, some good decisions in terms of money have been people who have studied this and studied it well. And if you are from here, I can say that the likelihood that you don't know much about money, about finances, is very high. And until you tell yourself that, no, I have to go and learn this and learn it well, we will struggle our lives. And sometimes it's not even because, look around. See, the thing about our country and our culture is that a lot of the big men live off the government, so the ability to crash it and get the right information as to what it takes to build anything in our culture in our country build anything genuinely. I think we are yet to go through that because well, most of our people were groomed to just go to school and wait for the government to give them employment. And a lot of directors, a lot of top people, you see they drive big cars, big houses, but it's off the government. And so you cannot really we can't glean much in terms of financial knowledge from a lot of these guys because they work and they are paid fat salary. They just happen to work in a structure which gives them money. Usually, you see the worth of their financial decisions, the quality of it, when they go into retirement. When the salary refuses to come in, then you will see how much financial knowledge they did not have because they were in some kind of infrastructure, some kind of a system like the government. Most of our big men live off the government, whether politicians, technocrats, people who, so they don't bother so much to look for the proper financial knowledge that can help all of us. They just wait for the monthly salary and they pay themselves anyway, like the MPs, they sit in the parliament and they decide how much they should be paid. At least the letter I know. And the average MP salary is very big. If you compare a lot of the average people in the country and you compare what they are paid, it's not an average. You say that they work. And so our basic financial knowledge, our financial decisions are centered around just looking for some big position with a big salary, and that's all. And I think that that's not the best way to win because it does not affect a lot of us. A lot of us may never get there. In a country of 30 million people, very few are in this class. Let's say all government workers together. Oh, and not all of them are paid good salary anyway. They are just around 600,000. So 30 million, 600,000, you can understand. So majority of us would have to find our own financial knowledge, not to look up to the so-called big men in our society because they may not have it, they may not know it. As a matter of fact, a lot of them they just live in the big cars that they never use their money to buy. It came with a position. And majority of our people don't also read, don't study. And if you don't study, you don't read, then how are you going to overcome the being broke? If you don't study, if you don't work, and you're waiting for, that's why a lot of us troop. Wait, they even told us that if you bring money to them, you'll be rich. Those are all not true. You can only overcome poverty by the discipline, by the decisions that you are making. The money that comes to you, the money that comes to me, the decisions and the choices that I'm making with that which comes to me, they are going to reflect what I become in the next 5, 10, 20 years. It's not magic. If you do all the other ones, it's just lotto. And not many people win lotto all their lives. You cannot leave the finances of your life to chances. So get some kind of financial knowledge. It's a best security. If there is any best investment that I can do for myself, is investment into myself. And much of it is finance because in this world, a lot of it is finance. A lot of it is money. Your ability to move that financial knowledge into financial skill is very much important. When the money has come, when you work and they pay you, what are the choices? What are the decisions that you're making? When you got your first salary, you went to buy land with it because you're tired of paying rent. That is some of the things that they have told us. Some people think that once they build, they will save money. That's a very weak financial knowledge right there. The house is important if you build out of your abundance. But if you build out of your lack, the house does not become anything. It's rather something that is taking money from you. It's like a child in school. It takes money all the time. So if your financial knowledge is weak, your financial skill will be weak. And if the financial skill is weak, it means that the finances will be difficult. And so you can even meet people who are being paid fat salary, but the decisions and the choices that they are making every time, you see that 2 weeks within the month, they are broke because they have to live life to impress people to say that I'm rich. Let's see, if you're rich, we will know. If you're rich, We won't know. So financial decisions and choices are very much. You have to live within your means. You have to live within the standard that you set for yourself, and you have to have that goal, that plan. That this is where we want to go as a family. This is where I want to go as a young man. This is where I want to go as a young woman. You have to have strong discipline to have your own plan, because the decisions and the choices, they decide everything. Everything. Most people are just making choices in this life around money, and you cannot blame them. It's all about money. You get money small, you go and buy a very nice phone. And what are you using it for? What's happening? So financial decisions and financial choices. You can overcome this by being disciplined, having a plan, having a structure. Sometimes it's so difficult, but you have to have it, because you cannot live all your life hoping that somebody will keep increasing the salary. If you don't have discipline, no matter how much salary they increase, you will still be back to square one. And that's why most people live like that, because it's the standard. They had old car. Once they increase the salary, they change the car. They were living in two-bedroom. Once they changed the salary, they went to a whole big house. It's back to the same thing. They keep on wasting money on things that will not bring the money back. So if you're like that, your decisions and your choices will always keep you being broke. And most people, and they say that if you're broke all the time, it's not good even for our health, because then you are always under stress. And under, even divorce is highly linked to problems that are related to cash. You know, if you have money and you just go and spend it, all of them on the wedding, yeah, it means that your decisions and your choices on money may be weak. So the thing is that the poor people continue to make the same mistakes. Why? Because maybe we are hoping one day we become rich. And that's why they wait, and one day when they don't become rich and they get a big position, then they become people who forget about their morals, because they hope that it was going to make them rich, and they got there and it was not like that. And so it's important. Increase some level of financial knowledge. Study, take it upon yourself. Please get to know what other things that can you do to increase the revenue. Let's say I'm doing business. Sometimes, depending on the business that you start and how much excess you may have at what point. I remember when we started what we were doing, almost all the time it was a problem every time, because we didn't know anything about what. So you just make mistakes and mistakes, one mistake after the other, one mistake after the other, one mistake after the other. Especially those people whose businesses don't bring in the revenue every day. It's dangerous, and you can make quality decisions with your weak financial knowledge. In terms of finance, we can't. And so we started to study, we started to get discipline, we started to learn. But some of the mistakes had been made already, and it was difficult trying to bring the vehicle back on the road. A lot of disagreements, a lot of pain, a lot of errors, a lot of struggles. Why? A lot of stress, because we had made wrong choices and wrong decisions. And when you make a wrong decision in terms of money, it will send you to the wrong path, and sometimes you can be there for years. And that is where being broke can come in. But there's another good side, that if you make the right decisions, if you know, because you have to settle that your finances is your decision. Your finances is your responsibility. It's nobody's choice to make you rich. It's your responsibility. And it is not magic, it's not lotto. It's something that can be predicted, can be planned, can be structured. It's only in our country that people think that for anybody to become rich, they got lucky, and they got some cocaine somewhere, or their brother was. It's something that can be learned, can be applied, and with a lot of patience, we can overcome. At least being broke all the time, we can. We can. There's a plan. I don't believe that is something that you have to leave it to somebody to decide for you. It's your personal responsibility to make sure that the financial decisions that you're making every day, every moment, every minute are the ones that are going to create the future that you so much want. Because that future cannot. Sometimes when you see people who are in retirement, and you see that they did not plan for that future. It becomes that much pathetic. Why? Because they thought that they will be dead. You see, life is so short. The other day you were 30, the next minute you are 40, the next minute you are 50, the next minute you are 60. And then they tell you that go on retirement and you have nothing saved. Because why? Most people thought that they were going to live forever. So your decisions that you're making today, if you're 20 years, the 40 years will come now, the 60 will come quick. So if money is coming now, what decisions are you making? What plans are you making for the next 30, 40 years? You cannot leave it, especially you cannot leave it with state institutions like the insurance people. You cannot leave it. You have to have your own plan. Everyone, maybe you may not be a billionaire, you may not be a millionaire, but at least you can take charge of that finance. You cannot come and work. Sometimes you look at some of the professionals, and when they are in retirement, it's like, so why did you have to go through all this to end your life this way? You are so much technically astute, maybe a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, big people in society, and when they go into retirement, they're waiting for their children to help them. I think that we can do better than that if you make the right decisions and the right choices now. So instead of you buying very nice car with everything that you have saved, why don't you learn how to multiply and how to grow that money? And then maybe the nice car can be bought after you have turned that money into how many times? Only God knows. Because most of the people that we look up to, that we think they are rich, they don't live that kind of lifestyle out of the capital, the seed. No, they don't. Most people who you think are rich, not the ones on TV, not the people we call celebrity, those are just eating their seed. Majority of them don't know anything about money. They just try to impress people with packaging and branding. I'm not talking of somebody who has paid 1,000 cedis and he goes to buy a car, 1,000 cedis. I'm talking of somebody who has 1,000 cedis and is able to multiply that 1,000 into 20,000 and maybe buy something out of that 20,000. I'm not talking about somebody who has 200 million or 2 million and he goes to build a big house with the 2 million. No, I'm talking of somebody who has 2 million and is able to grow that money into 200 million. And out of the 200 million, that person is able to buy some things of life. And when you are poor, when you think poor, you look at those people and you will think that, oh, that money came and they just went to buy those things with it. No, they grew that money. They multiply it. They work with that money. So if you are paid salary 2,000 and that salary goes to buy a car, goes to buy a phone, goes to buy clothes, you don't know. You are making wrong choices with money. If they pay you and you take that money, you don't have salary is not supposed to be used directly. Money as it comes to us is not supposed to be used directly to go and buy phones, shirts, pay rent and all those. How you do that? You have to improve on your knowledge, or you'll be poor, because that's one of the things that have deceived a lot of people. They think that once they work and they get paid, that money must go straightly into being spent. No, it's not like that. The money you work for must be grown, must be saved, must be put into something, and out of that, the seed that grows to become something, out of that, the fruit you can use to do anything you want to do. Even if you want to buy Mercedes Benz, that's up to you. But you don't pick the money directly and spend it. You will never overcome being broke. It's like a business person. You make profit, and then right from the profit, you go and use that profit to just go and buy a flashy car. The business will never grow. But when at the end of the year you have made profit, you are looking at, okay, how can I grow this profit? How can I multiply this profit? Maybe for the next 2 years, 3 years. And when that profit that was 50,000 has become 500,000, then maybe you can go and splash something somewhere and nobody should fight you for that. So when you see people who have overcome being broke, they have overcome that because they had some level of discipline. They were people who were not just splashing money like that. The thing is that money comes to every one of us. Money comes to you, money comes to me. All the mistakes and the errors that I have made with money, because we were using them directly. Sometimes when we had not even worked for them, sometimes they were loaned from the bank. Sometimes we were loaned from people, and we were just putting them and spending them like that. Spending them on a project that was not going to be paid on time. That is ignorance. And if you make decisions like that, you will find it difficult to overcome being broke, because it means that your thought pattern, the decisions that you make with money, are very weak. And the difference between those who have money and those who don't have, I'm not talking of those who stole. I'm talking of those who work for money. Those who have money that they can tell you the source. I'm not talking of those who are living off, because there are a lot of people who are telling you that they are rich. We don't know the source of the money. I'm talking of those who have worked, who have done something and gained money. The difference between those who have a lot and those who don't have a lot is the discipline. Once they came, they knew where to put that money, where to grow that money, where to work that money. A lot of us will just work, so November has come to an end. This is 30th November. They have been paid salary, and tomorrow we go to the beer bar, we drink, we go to the shop, we buy all the things. 2 weeks we don't have anything, because we think that the salary is for eating. Salary, whatever you save, is not for eating. If you want to overcome being broke, it cannot be for eating. It's supposed to be saved, and then suppose you have to have a way of growing that money if you want to overcome being broke all your life. Or it's a choice, you'll be broke for a very long time. And so some of the things that you may have to do is how you can handle, study, build, not learn. The other time they were reading the budget, did you take time to listen to it? If you don't have any interest in those things, it means that your financial knowledge cannot win. When you hear the things that they talk about, the taxes and things like that, if you do understand, go and ask somebody who understands it. If you hear any term with money, don't just brush it off. Go and learn it. They speak, and it doesn't matter whether you don't know. What is important is that are you willing to learn? And are you willing to apply what you learn? Because decisions that we are making financially, they are all coming directly from what we know about finances. And for most people, what they know about finances cannot win. And that's why they are broke all the time. Because when you give the poor man money, I can show you, if you give somebody 100,000 now, and you ask them what they will do with that 100,000, you'll be shocked. The other day, somebody said that, oh, I will go and pay my tithe 10%. And because that's what they have told us. If you pay your tithe, God will bless you. The tithe is on what you have worked. It's not the money that somebody gave you. So this is a seed. You have got to plant that seed. You've got to multiply that. So it's not title. 100,000, what would you use it for? And if they told you that, can you make the 100,000 1 million Ghana cedis in the next 3 years? Do you have a plan? Is all these, the answers, the quality that we give to these answers are coming from the kind of decisions that we make, and they are directly coming from the kind of financial information, financial skills, financial exposure that we have. And somebody will say, oh, I will go and give it to an investment bank. Somebody will say, I'll go and give it to some of these people who are multiplying money 10% every month. No, that's not it. You don't have any control. You give the money to anybody, you don't have any control. It becomes difficult. You can easily struggle with that money. And so you have to learn, study. It takes a lot of discipline to learn, because none of us, maybe, was born with a lot of information when it comes to money, and that's why many people struggle. And the courses and all those schools that we all go, they will not solve the financial problem that much, not to a certain limit. They don't. What solves financial problem is what we learn about money, and that one is not being taught in school. That one, you have to take the time to learn it and learn it well. So my name is Kwabena, I'm talking about financial decisions, not being broke all the time. It's so difficult for you to get up every morning and struggle. Well, you don't know what to eat, where to go, but you don't even have what to take, what you have to pay the rent the next year. You don't even know. It's a plan. You have to make decision that this one I want to overcome it. Maybe it's your business. If the business is always in trouble, struggling, you have to sit back and plan and maybe change the strategy, because it takes a lot of effort to build business in our country. It takes a lot of knowledge. It takes a lot of things, getting things right. It's not just about one thing being right. Sometimes it's just about 3, 4, 5, 10 things being right for the business to work. And so if you don't sit back and study, say, okay, what decisions am I making with the money of the business? The business money that comes, what decisions am I making? Maybe I'm taking too much loan at a very high cost. If you're taking too much loan with very high cost, you don't have any future as a business person. Because in a country, 40%, 50% a year, if you take those, you are just going to stagnate. You are just going to struggle. If you're making any deal on any project, you're not sure of where the client is going to pay the money, you better stay out. And if you're going for any contract, they're asking you bring 10%, 20% before you pay, before they sign you, you treat you special. Those things, if it's money that you're looking for, there are better and cheaper and easier and more credible ways of multiplying your money than going to pay somebody 10% before he gives you projects, lose the figures. It's not the path to wealth. It's not sustainable. It will break along the line, and you would have wasted your time, your energy, and you would have caused a lot of strain and stress to yourself for nothing, because your financial decisions were weak. If you have to buy a big car and give it to somebody to drive, there are some businesses that if you're not that much skill, you will never be able to be profitable. And a lot of the businesses that you invest a lot and the money starts to come in little by little, invest. Maybe you have taken 500,000 to go and buy this machine, and every day they come and pay you 2,000, 100 Ghana, 200 Ghana, and the machine is always on the road. That for me is so dangerous. It should be the other way around, where you invest little and the money starts to come in that much. And those come because you're making the right decisions and the right choices, which means you have disciplined yourself. If you don't, then you will struggle as a business person. You'll be broke all the time. You will go through a lot of pain and a lot of difficulties, and some other people too, even at the individual level, because whatever they get is they spend it directly. Whatever they are paid, they spend directly. Some people, whatever they are paid, they spend directly, and that you don't overcome being broke. You don't overcome being broke, and never leave your financial future in the hands of anybody. It has to be in your hands, because if you don't have much, life will be struggling. You will struggle all your life, and you cannot wait. Say that by God's own time, things will change, and that's why God gave you head, and that is difficult for people to understand. And the fact that they even pay you big salary, if you're not making good choices, good decisions with the fixed salary that they're paying you, it's going to be difficult. You're going to struggle, because it's more of the quality. That's why the African countries struggle, because the decisions that you are making financially are offbeat. They don't make sense. Why? Because for me, the government is a business to a lot of these African people. A lot of our big men, if you take government out, they are zero. So how can we trust their financial decisions and their financial choices? So it's your responsibility. You have to know that if I'm going to overcome this being broke all the time, I must make that decision. I must make that choice. I have to tell myself that no, this one I have to deal with it. I have to deal with it. I have to start to have a plan for the next 3, 4, 5 years. I don't want to be broke all the time. So I start to work. Any money that I get, I save some. I don't have to get the money and spend. Get the money and spend. Spend on what? People get money, they spend. I remember I had a friend. He's still my friend. Every time he was talking about, he's not easy. Man must eat. So his mind, every time that he gets money, he can go hungry, and when he gets money, go and sit somewhere and chill. This is a man who cannot overcome poverty. Why? Because for him, it's all about his stomach, and he must eat. If you want to overcome being broke, you cannot think like that. You cannot think of immediate gratification. You have to be able to go through stress and pain and struggle, and never curse yourself because you're going through that stage. So somebody could be having $1 million Ghana cedis and still be renting a single room and be developing his business, be developing his ideas. that person mark him, become great. There is another person who gets just 2,000, and everybody must know that money has come. You cannot overcome being broke if you cannot handle the social perception. If you are quick to impress people that you are rich, you will never be rich. You will never overcome poverty. You will never overcome poverty. So you have to have a strong discipline. You have to grow your knowledge. You have to grow this financial skill. It is a skill. It is knowledge. It comes by growing, by learning it. It doesn't come in a day or two, unless you are born in a very rich family. If you are born in a family like all of us, that you have to learn it, then you have to learn. And knowledge does not come to, it's not something that anybody can just, it's not a pill that you can take and you become, at least technology has not gotten better. Maybe in the next 20 years, somebody will come out with a technology that when you need financial knowledge, you just go and buy the pill from the pharmacy, financial knowledge pill, then you drink it and then, but at the moment, we don't have it like that. So you have to have the discipline to learn it, to study it. And you have to probably work with people who understand this as well and not be quick to impress anybody. Because something that you have to overcome. I don't think most people, the worst, it's not only Africa, majority of the worst population. I remember when we were somewhere some time ago, there was this young, British lady who was going to the bank to ask for, I think, £1,000 or something, and they did not give her. She was so much devastated. Why? Because she had gone somewhere to take another one and they saw it. She was crying. For most people living in most of these Western countries, the truth is that majority of them, if you ask them £10,000, they don't have it. They don't have it, and most Africans don't know that they don't have it. There are so many people that if you ask $20,000 cash down, they don't have it. Why? But they live in very rich countries. Why don't they have it? Because it's decisions, financial decisions, and most people don't have it. Most people don't study it. For most people, if you see them going for any course, they go for course to become better teachers, better doctors, better caterers, No, if I want to go another course, I want to go and learn how to make better money. Because no matter how much craft no matter how much money they pay you, you're not making the right decisions with that one that they are paying you, you're not going anywhere. So financial knowledge is so critical. It's so critical. They will help you to make good financial choices. And if you see anybody winning financially, it's because they are making the right decisions with finance. And that's why you overcome that. Because other than that, you can be broke all the time. Even money to buy kinky can become difficult all the time. The children's school fees can become difficult all the time. The next rent can become difficult all the time. Money to buy fuel can be difficult all the time. And sometimes you get somebody to tell you that there's a demon doing you. It's not a demon. Financial knowledge is weak. Financial decisions are poor. And until we correct that, then you'll struggle. And when you're struggling, then somebody wants to take advantage of us to say that it's because it's because God is angry with us. God is not angry with anybody. It's financial decisions and choices. If you're not making it rightly, then we will struggle. So get the right books, work, don't get the salary and spend it. Find a way of multiplying the money that comes to you, and know that it is your duty, it's not anybody's duty. And learn about debt, learn about the taxes, study it. It's better you spend your time to study these things that will add value.